Hello, this is literally Majora. You can call me Majora if you want, but my real name is Benny. I'm gonna apologize in advance if I'm a little froggy today. I have no excuse, I'm just a little froggy today. If you watched Monday's video, you'll know that that was Majora Talks, but this is not that. This is the first episode of How This Thing Changed My Life, and today we're talking about how The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time changed my life. The biggest differences between this and Majora Talks are going to be the length and the lack of changing visuals. I might still throw in a few, but not that many. And I really need to follow the script for this one. I had a script for Majora Talks, and I didn't follow it. If I don't do that for this one, I'll go off topic and go on 15 different tangents, and this will be twice as long as it needs to be. Wow, that's an overly long intro. The year is 1998. Cell phones are still kind of blocky and weird. People still have CRTs, and the Nintendo 64 is in its prime. This is the year that Ocarina of Time comes out, and I am under a year old. I obviously didn't know it in 1998, but this is something that's going to change my life forever. Fast forward to the year 2000, I'm 2, for those of you that are bad at math. Actually, about 2.5 if you want to be more precise. This is the year a childhood friend turns 5 years old, and apparently your 5th birthday is as good a time as any to get an N64, because that's what my friend got for their birthday. That means I don't remember playing Ocarina of Time, or video games in general, for the first time. I would have been 2.5 when I saw a video game for the first time, and maybe 3 or 4 when I was allowed the controller to play Ocarina of Time. I don't have any memories that exist in a world without Ocarina of Time. What I do remember is the childhood wonder that this game brought me. It was all that I cared about for so long, and I didn't even beat it for the first time until the summer after I was in 2nd grade, so that would have been like 2006. I spent the first years of my life that I can remember doing absolutely nothing but playing Ocarina of Time, Mortal Kombat, Mario Kart, and watching The Lion King non-stop. If you want to How This Thing Changed My Life about The Lion King, I can do that. So up until the summer of 2nd grade, me and my friend would take turns passing the controller back and forth. We'd wander around Kokiri Forest, we'd stare at Saria for way too long. We'd try to get through the Great Deku Tree and then get stuck on the bottom part. Can I stress that I was between the ages of 2 and 8 when I was playing this game? Anyway, when I was 8, I asked my mom to get me my own N64 and a copy of Ocarina of Time. And subsequently, I somehow ended up with 3 copies of Donkey Kong 64, but that's a different story. Had it not been for my friend getting a Nintendo 64, I wouldn't have wanted one of my own, and I wouldn't have played Ocarina of Time, and I probably wouldn't even like video games at all. Okay, that's a stretch, but Ocarina of Time is the one that pulled me in. Yes, I will always look back on that time in my life fondly, and I do love the Zelda franchise as a whole and Ocarina of Time by extension. But Ocarina of Time isn't all it's hyped up to be. I can't stress enough that I do love it. Don't, come for me because I'm gonna say bad things about Ocarina of Time, but there are just some things that I don't love anymore. For one, and spoiler alert for a game that's 20 years old, but you don't get the Triforce. It is so hyped up. Wow, that's the 2nd time I've used that phrase. But it is so hyped up, 3rd time, and you don't even get it. There are multiple cutscenes where you watch 3 goddesses that look like Oscars go up into the sky and create the Triforce, and you have to go get 3 magical spiritual stones and the Ocarina of Time, and you learn a song, and you open the door of time, and you pull the sword from the stone. Wait, that's King Arthur. You pull the Master Sword from the pedestal of time, and then the bad guy gets the Triforce. And okay, technically, Link gets the Triforce of Courage, but I'm talking about the full Triforce. The thing that Zelda implies to you is that you're gonna get the Triforce to prevent Ganondorf from getting it himself, but in doing what she tells you to do, Ganondorf still gets part of the Triforce. And secondly, on that note, why does Link go to the trouble of getting all of the 6 sages awakened, finding out who the 7th sage is, fighting Ganondorf, fighting Ganon, just to have to be sent back in time. If Zelda could have sent him back in time with the Triforce of Wisdom and the Ocarina of Time, which is what I think she does, they don't really clearly state it other than that she plays the Song of Time and he goes back in time. If she could have done that the whole time, there was no need for Link to go awaken the sages. They never explicitly say that the sages have anything to do with that, so why even bother? And I get that, yeah, that cuts out like 2/3 of the game. What I'm saying here is that they needed to explain it better. That's a major plot hole. And the plot is the thing that I still love the most about Ocarina of Time. Nothing changed after Link defeated Ganon. Zelda had the Triforce of Wisdom the whole time. Link had the Triforce of Courage the whole time. He had the Ocarina of Time and the Song of Time the whole time. Ganon still has the Triforce of Power after you defeat him and he's turned back into Ganondorf and he's sealed away. Like, that did nothing. There's still only 2/3 of the Triforce on the light side of things, so what is the difference? If they would have given an explanation for why you had to defeat Ganondorf, or for why you had to awaken the sages, that would have been better. Maybe the sages were required. Maybe it was the power of the 7 sages, but they don't really say that. So there's a reason that the plot is my favorite thing about Ocarina of Time. The gameplay is, well, to quote the video game boy himself, there is so much goddamn waiting! Okay, I'm sorry. It's not even really that. I don't mind the waiting that much. There's just not very much variety. It's all the same. And sure, some of the bosses, they play off of each other or off of earlier enemies, like common enemies that you've learned one mechanic from and then you repeat it. You learn to reflect attacks back at enemies off of your shield from Octoroks and Deku Scrubs, and then later you fight Twinrova and you have to reflect attacks back at them with your shield. Now it's the mirror shield and it's upgraded, it's slightly different, but that's something that you learn from earlier in the game. You learn from the very first boss in the game, Goma, to shoot things in the eye to stun them. Later, you have to shoot Bongo Bongo, first in the hands, then in the eye, to weaken him so that you can attack him. You learn to play tennis with Phantom Ganon, and then you play tennis with Ganondorf. You get the idea. But really, even that's kind of all the same. You wait, preferably with your shield up, to figure out what you're supposed to do with the dungeon item or for your enemy to give you an opening. Then you walk up and you whack it a bunch. At least Wind Waker gave us a cool parry attack for waiting. I guess I'm just not super into the whole patiently waiting defensive playstyle, which they kind of fixed with Breath of the Wild, but Ocarina of Time set up conventions for literally every other game, so we've had that for a while. Really, my opinion now of Ocarina of Time is that it had to happen. I needed it as a gateway into the franchise, and so did a lot of other people. The timeline needed it for a convoluted reason to split. And for some later conventions that still hold up, it was necessary. It really was the best they could do at the time, and I'll always love it. But it has flaws, and it's okay for things to have flaws, and it's okay for people to like things that have flaws. Side note for the end, this is just an unpopular opinion that I have. I actually like the water temple. I like water levels in general in most games. Yeah, do with that what you will. But I think it's perfectly fine that other people don't like the water temple. I think it's perfectly fine that people think it's confusing and too hard. It's not really necessarily that it's hard, it's just kind of annoying to have to backtrack a lot. So if you know it well enough, i.e. if you've played Ocarina of Time upwards of like 30 or 40 times and actually beaten it all the way through, like I have, then you don't really have a problem navigating the water temple. But different people have different tastes, different play styles, and different things about video games appeal to certain people's tastes and kind of suck to other people. And that's okay. Oof, this was longer than I had hoped. I kind of wanted to keep it more compact, but that's okay that it went this long. Thanks for sticking with me for this long of a video. Monday I'll have another Majora Talks up. This one will be a lot different than the first one. The first one was just meant as an introduction to me, and this one is just gonna be random garbage. It's not garbage, it's good content, I promise. And other things that I can say that sound like I'm not self-deprecating. Anyway, I'll see you Monday. Bye!